What is up, ladies and gents? You know what time of day it is. It's XCN time, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about XCN. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here on the charts, and I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for where I think XCN is going over the next few days and my 2025 target. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to this channel. It's great to have you all here. So we're just going to dive straight into this video, and of course this is the moment that us XCN holders have been waiting for. If you just look at the chart right now, things are looking absolutely glorious here on XCN. In fact, if we have a look at the top right, despite the good recent news we've had over the past 24 hours to do with the tariffs, you can see that most of the cryptos right now are slightly down in the red. There's one, in fact two coins that particularly stand out to us, and that's Swift Coin there and XCN. Both of them outperforming the markets. Of course, in my previous videos, I did mention that XCN was outperforming despite the rest of the market continuously falling after that tariff news. We saw XCN kind of flat in this region here around 0.9 cents. So I predicted that there was going to be some outperformance coming in the near future. And indeed, what we see now is absolutely crazy. So these two right now are the two strongest coins of the day from the ones that we cover on this channel. Before we dive into these charts, we're just going to cover briefly why this is happening. So in case you missed it, basically yesterday we saw a massive announcement from the president himself, Donald Trump. He posted this onto his Truth Social, basically stating that he was going to pause all those tariffs for 90 days. Of course, back last Thursday, we saw him pull out a massive card with different reciprocal tariffs for pretty much every country in the world. And now he's announced a 90-day pause for all those reciprocal tariffs. Of course, there's still a baseline 10% tariff during this period, and China is exempt from this pause. They're being tariffed extra. And so basically the markets loved this news, and we saw a massive pump in pretty much everything. Of course, here on Onyxcoin, this was the reaction that we saw. We saw this massive candle taking it from roughly 0.8 cents there all the way to a high of 1.3 cents, a 60% upside, and there's no signs of it slowing down. Of course, if I just show you Bitcoin briefly as well, it's the tune of the crypto market. And what we saw in Bitcoin was phenomenal, in my opinion, as well. Prices on Bitcoin shot straight up from 77,000 to a high there of 83,000. And what I love about this is that Bitcoin has actually reclaimed its bullish support here, keeping basically the whole crypto market in this bullish trend. Of course, I'm still observing what it is doing, but if we can hold this bullish support level here once again, that is very bullish for us in XCN. And I do believe that's going to make it easier for XCN to go even higher. Now, talking specifically about what we are seeing here on XCN, what is happening right now is absolutely phenomenal. I've saved my annotations from my previous video, and as you can see, we predicted this all along. Of course, the price target from this move that we are seeing here, guys, is 2.5 cents. So there's still quite a bit of upside to be had. Of course, the reason we knew this was going to happen was because we saw this falling wedge pattern. Of course, the prices were heading down basically between these two trend lines. I'm just going to get rid of the fib levels so you can see it clearer. We've got these two trend lines heading downwards, keeping Onyxcoin in this bearish trend. But of course, with these two trend lines came this falling wedge. And indeed, just yesterday, when we saw that tariff announcement from Trump, we saw a breakout to the upside. It didn't get any clearer than that. You can see that as soon as that announcement came, we saw a massive pump here on XCN. In fact, you can see the volume as well did increase quite a lot. So you can see that's exactly what I said we needed to look for in my previous video, and indeed we got it here on XCN. So absolutely phenomenal breakout from this upper trend line here. Of course, with this falling wedge pattern comes a price target of the first test of support and resistance. So of course, if I drag that measuring tool back over here, that is the distance between the first test of support, which is this trend line down here, to the first test of resistance, which is this trend line up here. And if we drag that measuring tool to where we saw that breakout yesterday, you can see that gives us a price target here of 2.5 cents here on Onyxcoin. Now, what's also phenomenal about this breakout is just how Onyxcoin is respecting these fib levels. Of course, this is something that we are keeping our eye on as Onyxcoin holders, because we know that Onyxcoin does love these fibs. So look at the price action that we've had over the past few days. We came down almost exactly to this 0.382 fib down here. When we broke out to the upside, we zoomed past the 0.5 fib here, confirming that we had indeed started on a new bullish trend here on Onyxcoin. Prices got up to this level here. We saw a bit of a sell-off here where the prices came back down to test this 0.5 fib, and now we've seen another pump to the upside. So in my opinion, this is extremely bullish stuff. We are starting on a new bullish trend here, and I'm so happy to see XCN pumping again, not just for my own bags, but for everyone out there who's watching my videos, who's held through this multi-month downtrend that we've seen here on XCN. This is what we have been waiting for, and now we're getting the rewards for being patient. Of course, we rode this roller coaster down together through the bad times and through the good times, and now finally we are starting to see something come from that. So of course, if you have been holding XCN throughout this whole period here, you've been on this journey with me, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Send me a rocket emoji, a fire emoji, or something along those lines. And of course, give yourself a massive tap on the back for being patient and waiting through this whole bearish trend that we've seen here. Of course, like I say, I do not think this pump is over whatsoever. The price target, like I say, sits at the minimum here at 2.4 cents. Of course, if we get to this level, I think it's highly likely that we could also come to test this 0.786 fib. So something like this, maybe over the coming hours and days, we get to this first fib here at 0.15 cents. Maybe this poses a short-term resistance for us. Then maybe over the next few days, we reach this price target up here, and then we see this as some sort of stronger resistance, maybe a bit of a sell-off or something like that. But if this bull trend continues in the upwards direction, as you can see, the next fib there is literally sitting at the previous high there at 5 cents. So once we get past this 2.6 cents level, there's nothing stopping us to get to the previous high here on Onyxcoin. Now, of course, this also leads on to my longer term price targets for XCN. My longer term targets come from these fib levels, because we know XCN loves these fib levels, and just by extension we can see that we've got multiple fib levels lying up here. Now, the two main ones that I'm looking at as my 2025 target is this 1.414 fib here, which sits at roughly 17 to 18 cents. And I really like this one for a 2025 target because it's a nice ambitious target, and it's the previous all-time high here for XCN. So it's a beautiful target to have for 2025. Of course, if we can get past the previous all-time high, then the golden fib there, the 1.618 fib, tells us we could be reaching as high as 32 to 33 cents. So one of these two fibs is going to be my 2025 target. Of course, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. We need to see conditions still improve here in crypto. At the moment, the fear and greed index is still in fear, although it is improving. What we need to see is greed and extreme greed return to the markets. Ideally, we need to see Bitcoin making new all-time highs, Ethereum making new all-time highs, XRP making new all-time highs, and that's when we're going to see conditions really flourish here on XCN. But right now, this is a brilliant start for what's to come. Of course, a breakout from this falling wedge pattern, something that we've been waiting for forever here on XCN. So again, congratulations if you've been patient enough to hold throughout this whole period. And I hope what's to come here on XCN makes you guys happy. Of course, just going back onto that Donald Trump news that we saw as well, I just want to show you this though. I want to know what you guys think about it. Just before he announced this tariff news, saying that he was going to pause it for 90 days, 4 hours before that, he sent this truth post. This is a great time to buy. Now, he's basically posting this probably knowing full well that he's about to pause the tariffs. What do you guys think about this action here from Donald Trump? Is it legit or is it a little bit shady? I want to hear from you guys. But of course, nonetheless, it is what it is, and the effect on the market has been great. So who are we to complain? Very finally as well, we've had some more economic news as well, which could really affect the markets. The inflation rate data came out just a few minutes ago, and basically these were better than expected. Have a look at what the forecast and the consensus was supposed to be, and the actual inflation rate year on year, 2.4% for the US, much lower than expected. Core inflation rate also much lower than expected, 2.8% instead of 3%. So that, guys, is extremely bullish. That means that for the Fed, the inflation is less of a problem, and they're probably more inclined to drop rates quicker or more frequently throughout 2025. Of course, this outcome leads to increased liquidity in the markets. More money flows into crypto, and that is going to be bullish for the prices of crypto, especially for us holders here in XCN. So that was the last thing I wanted to touch on here. I want to keep this video fairly simple, and I'll probably cover some other stuff in a different video. But for now, guys, enjoy this pump that we are having. Again, congratulations to everyone who's holding at the moment. We can see that this reversal here, this new pump that we're having, is wiping out days, weeks, and months of downtrend that we are seeing here on XCN. And like I say, I think there's a lot more to come. We are really just getting started here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, do let me know if you have been a holder here on XCN, and if you are still holding XCN. Of course, if you are looking for a great place to trade XCN, then check out the MEX exchange in the link down below. For a limited time only, they're giving every new user who signs up using that link $20. So if you're looking to trade this price action, go ahead and click on the link for MEX. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you in my next video.